Alright, so I'm back and I'm doing a tutorial of a mid taper with a beard, of course. So I'm doing low and dark on the top with the one guard open, all the way open. And I'm just going with the grain, combing before I cut to make sure I am going with the grain, and combing out the hair that I already cut. Now we're starting the taper. I'm going to do the bald line with my T outliner. Sometimes I like to put in a soft line, but whenever it's not too dense, the hair that is, I can easily get that line out. So I just start with that. And I make sure to check the mirror to make sure that that first guideline is symmetrical. Otherwise, you might throw your whole taper off. So now I'm starting my first guideline, or my second guideline that is, with my clipper open, no guard. And I'm gonna get this line out with the clipper, with closing up the clipper halfway. And then to make sure I make that line completely vanish, I'm gonna close it up a little bit more, then a little bit more, until it's all the way closed. As I close it up, I cut lower on the taper. Now I'm putting that one guard open to create my next guideline. I go about 3/4 of an inch up, but it depends on the taper, how condensed you want it to be or how spread out you want it to be. This is typically a good amount for me. To get that line out, I'm going to use a half guard. First, all the way open, of course. As I go down, I'm going to close the clipper up more and more and more until that line is all the way out. I may miss a spot along the way. In that case, I'll have to open up the guard again, go up a little bit higher, and just repeat until that thing is completely blended. Now I'm gonna put the 1.5, and because I did low and dark on the top, this pretty much blends into the top. So I'm gonna get the whole back of the head even with this open, and then to go back into my taper, I'm gonna close it up as I go lower on the head. First I'll close it halfway, then I'll close it all the way, and then typically after I do this step, I put my one guard back on open, and I refine by closing that up slowly as I go down on the blend. His hair grows in all different directions, sideways, up, down, across. So I gotta make sure I turn the clipper so that I'm always going against the grain. That's how you get an even cut. So now I have my one guard on open, and I'm just refining. I'll go lower and lower on the blend until I'm satisfied. And like I said, whenever you feel like you miss a spot, go up in a guard or open your guard up. Now I'm going to start my taper. This is a mid taper. Although it's starting low, it's a mid taper in my book because I'm stretching it out so much. So I normally start the top of the beard at the indent in the ear, and then I blend down from there. If it's a low taper, I'll blend up right there. I won't even bald out any higher. So of course I start my guideline with the clipper all the way open, close it a little, close it all the way, repeat until it's completely smooth. It's all about what you see. If you see it's a little dark or you miss something, you act accordingly. So now I use my one guard open, and as you guys can see, as I'm doing the taper, I'm also blending into the beard, because why put another guard back on or take it off over again? While I'm in that area, I might as well hit the top and the bottom. So to get that line out, I'm going to use a half guard. I pretty much always use the same steps whenever I'm blending, whether it's a mid fade, low fade, mid taper, high taper. It doesn't really matter. I do these things repeatedly. It just works for me. It doesn't mean any other person is wrong. It's just what I'm used to. As you can see, I'm using the tip of my clipper because I'm fading in a small area and I don't want to do too much change at one time. So I just incrementally cut sometimes. Now I'm blending all the way into the beard, and coincidentally, this is the same guard that I used to blend all the way into the taper to connect that into the rest of the hair. And I put my one guard back on it. I'm gonna fade down, and I'm gonna close this up a little bit, and I'm gonna close it up all the way, just to make sure that blend is completely smooth. And you never know, I might come back after the lineup. I might see something else. I wish I got it perfect on the way up, and I didn't have to blend back down, but your boy is not perfect. So now I'm gonna prep the lineup, or prep the hairline for the lineup, by cutting down any hair that would hang over the line. So I'm doing the same thing I did on the other side. He's falling asleep. He's a sleepy client. He always falls asleep, especially when I put the hot towel on. He's like, dog, this is the most sleep I get all week. I used to be like, wake up. Now I just deal with it. I just deal with it. He's a nice guy. But it was a little sketchy because I was recording the cut, meaning I'm standing behind my camera, so I can't really, my arms are stretched all the way out, so I can't really catch his head if it falls too much. So fortunately he didn't fall all the way asleep like normal. Notice how I comb constantly. I always want to put the hair back in the direction that it grows, so I can see how it's going to lay when I'm done. Also, so I can comb out any hairs that I've cut, so I can see what's left. So after I've put my 1.5 open, and I close that all the way up, I put my one guard on, pretty much always. and I'm prepping the hairline on this side as well. Now I'm just point cutting into the beard. So I shampoo. I have my clients come in with their hair washed. If they don't at this point, I don't care because I'm gonna wash it anyways. I like to make sure I get any oils out, any conditioner out, any product out, so that I have the least amount of particles in between the metal of my clipper and their skin. I want that hair to pop off. I want it to pop off of their head. I don't even want it to touch my clipper. I want to put that clipper close to their head, and then the hair decides I'm leaving anyways, might as well dip out early. That's how crispy I want that hair. So now I've taken the do-rag off. Now I've washed it, and now I'm laying it down in the direction it grows with a towel and a comb. I don't use a brush because 1, it's illegal, 2, it's unsanitary. It's illegal because it's unsanitary. Your barbers are not disinfecting and cleaning out the hair from their brush in between every cut. So unless they have 12 hair brushes, it's unsanitary. They may have 12 hair brushes, you never know. So I debulked his mustache by going against the grain with a 1 open. Now I'm just tapping above the lip. Make sure to keep this very fine. You want to keep as much mustache as you can. I mean, in my opinion. So I'm just cleaning up under the lip. I'm not doing too much. I'm not going to give like a very hard line. I just clean out the hair so it looks neat. It's a very sensitive area, so I try to touch it as little as possible. If someone wants that clean, straight box or perfect semicircle lineup in there, I will do my best. But I don't really advise it. It's not something people look at often. So I just try to keep it pretty natural. If you're wondering why I don't have a neck strip, it's because this client is the only one that's going to be wearing that cape the entire day. I wash my capes every day. I have 12 capes and I wash them all every day. As you can see, I'm wearing a face shield and a face mask. Not trying to die of corona. I have children. And I like life. I've always worn a face mask though, even before this pandemic. I didn't like hair flying off of them and touching me in the face. I felt like that was invasive. And let's be honest, sometimes your clients are talking to you and you can smell their lunch, and I don't like that. Alright, so here's the hot towel. I let that sit for about 2 minutes. It's gonna raise the hair, open the pores to allow flow of sebum. Sebum is basically sweat, which lubricates the skin even more, makes it more flexible. So when I line up the beard, I typically go to 2 to 3 passes, but because the camera was on, I was flexing on y'all. I went over this thing like 30 times. I was like, if anyone sees me miss a spot, the whole world is going to protest me having a barber's license. They're going to talk so much crap about me. So I wasn't having it. I get so paranoid when I'm doing these videotaped haircuts. You can't see it, but I'm sweating. I'm like, what are they gonna say? What are they gonna think? So as you can see, even though I'm going over the line a bunch of times, I'm not really moving it. I'm just like, if one hair is sticking out, I'm getting it. So here, I'm skimming the top of the beard. I'm not touching the line. These are curly hairs that would pop above the line. That would make it look like it wasn't as sharp as it really was. So I'm not having that. So I cut it out the way. I see some hairs I still could get though. It's kind of pissing me off. I digress. So right here, I realized the other side of his beard, because I always go back and forth. The other side of his beard has a smaller sideburn, so I just made that a little more narrow. I think as I shoot more of these videos, I'll be less worried about how it's looking, and I can focus more on the cut. I'm doing this reverse grip I've been working on. I did not use this when I cut hair for the first 3 years. I would just stretch the hell out of the nose to get room to get to the mustache, but you gotta learn new things. Okay, I'm doing the same thing. So right there I realized the do-rag's kind of in my way. So I do this thing where whenever I would try to get into a small space, I break the actual blade in half, and then I can get pretty much wherever I want. So I'm gonna go over this line a good 50 million times. You see, because after I wipe away the gel, you see stuff. So I'm not having that. Because if they go home and put facial moisturizer on, or wash their face, or like sleep, and they don't see that line, I'm gonna know. I'm gonna automatically know that they see that line's not that sharp, and I'm just gonna like start breathing really heavy at home. Cause I fucked up, excuse my language, cause I messed up. Now I'm drying anything that wasn't dry. Yeah, I want that hair dry. So when I lift that do-rag up, none of those hairs move. Cause if they move, I'm cutting them. Yeah, that hair is pretty laid down. I didn't use any mousse, anything, even though that stuff is pretty good to use. I haven't tried it, but it looks good when other people use it. But I just you know, wash it and dry it with the do-rag on. So since this hair is so clean, all I had to do was barely tap that hair and it went flying. My clippers aren't even sharp, I'm telling you guys. They're like not even zero gap. So right now as I'm watching this, I'm like, I could have definitely gotten that more round behind the ear. So I'm kicking myself right now. Hopefully my client doesn't see this and be like, better give me my money back. Because I'm like, no. Doing the same thing on this side. I think I got around the ear a little bit better this time. Okay, a very natural taper. So now I'm about to tap this hairline. You're gonna see, I'm just gonna touch it. Ooh, ash line right away. It's because the hair is so dry. I probably didn't even touch the hair. It just left. It was like, I'm out. I'm out this. I'm not gonna curse, but you know what. So I'm just going straight across. And when you get that nice, like, crispy line, it helps you visualize what the rest should look like. If you use enhancements, you know what I'm talking about, because the enhancements will help you visualize what a straight line is. I don't really use enhancements, like, at all. So I'm really appreciative that this line is coming out so crispy. When I started watching haircut tutorials, I didn't know that these barbers were looking in the mirror every 2 seconds to make sure they're straight. That's what I'm doing. You don't see it, but I don't just have like a computer in my brain that says like, oh, straight line. I'm looking in the mirror, making sure that stuff is straight. I can't look at a line and just know with 100% confidence that it's straight. Because people's faces are not symmetrical, and my eyes make adjustments for them. Well, human eyes make adjustments for people's faces, but the mirror gives no bleep about how we feel about ourselves. So it's going to show when something's off. As you can see, I'm not going into the receded point at all. I just make straight lines. Beyond that, it's not really my business. There are going to be different type of clients for everyone. Some clients will be like, oh, can you fill it in? And I will. But most of my clients are not interested in any enhancements. So as you can see, I'm combing over that line, making sure none of these lines pop out on my clients when they leave me, because I'll sense it. I'll chase them out to the car. Like, you better stay still so I can get this hair. So it doesn't matter if you start at the top of this hook, the middle, or the bottom. As long as you get it round and sharp, you're good. So if I make 20 videos, you might see me start this at 20 different locations. But that first hook is the easiest. The second hook is all about matching it to the first hook. So even though you won't see this in this video, I'm constantly looking at the other side, going back and forth. It's like, does that match? Sometimes I'm like, ooh, that doesn't match. And then I have to go and fix it. Hopefully the hairline's still in perfect shape. But I pretty much go bit by bit. So I don't really ever have complaints about any pushback hooks. I'm just tapping with that edge of the clipper like it's a pencil point. Like, none of the other teeth on that blade matter to me right now. So, just like the mirror, looking at someone upside down immediately takes away the adjustments that your eye makes, because we're not walking around looking at people upside down. So this helps me get a better idea of the symmetry. So I pretty much always look at it upside down, tap anything I see. Even if I don't see anything, I'm still tapping it. If you like my tattoo, Manny Valerio, he's in Connecticut. He's amazing. So now I'm just tapping against the grain. Any little stubble that has the audacity to be there right now, I'm taking care of. Right now, I'm taking care of it. And also, I'm making a little ash line just for a little bit more drama. People like to see that. So I broke the razor. No, it was already broken. Okay, cool. Typically I like to have the full razor when I'm doing this, but it is kind of nice having a small half razor for when I'm doing the hook, because I'm just using the tip anyways. Yeah. Even though that beard is already like done, I'm gonna tap it one more time just to get that dramatic ash line. Not too much, like I don't scrape dead skin, but just a little bit. I'm just getting the tip. When you're first starting out and you don't have a feel for the tip of the blade and what it can do on the skin, this is where your client can get a little nick. So move slowly, or better yet, don't use such an exposed straight razor. Or better yet, use a feather razor because they're rounded at the tips, so it's very hard to mess up with those. Now I'm just getting the ends on the beard. When you snip the ends on a beard, it makes it look like there's more hair. It's weird, but it's just a little weird thing about hair. But if you trim a beard, it'll make it look like someone has a thicker beard. So look, he's happy. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's elated. He feels like he just came back from the spa. Unfortunately, he can't do anything because of quarantine, so he's just going to be looking at himself. But that's good enough. A little bit closer up, because why not? Alright, well that's the end of the cut. If you like it, if you hate it, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, because I got a lot coming. Haircuts, travel vlogs, all types of stuff. So subscribe and tell your friends to follow me, because my name on Instagram is NWJ Styles, so that's what's up. All right, thanks. Adios.